if we can talk about another, obviously, a hot topic within the mining industry, and that is GIS, and explore that a little bit more. Maybe it's a good start just to remind us of what the fundamental benefits are of GIS for the mining industry specifically, and maybe if those benefits are actually changing and evolving as we progress with our relationship with GIS.
Yeah, okay. I think it's important to distinguish what part of the mining industry we're talking about. I think where GIS has had a massive impact is on the exploration side. On the mining side, perhaps less so. Once you've got a mine and it's developing, perhaps less so. But the big impact that GIS has had, there's no doubt at all, has been on the exploration side, because exploration by definition, you're wanting to look at how lots of different spatially related data sets interact with each other. So you may have geochemical data, you may have geophysical data, you may have geological map data, you may have other data, topographic data. And what the GIS allows you to do is to bring that together. And that has revolutionized the way that exploration companies work now, and they're able to do a lot more, shall we say, at the desktop than they were in the past. And you can do it a lot more quickly and a lot more cheaply.
Yeah, absolutely. You mentioned earlier about sort of the geovisionary software, etc., and remote virtual working there. So can you just elaborate a little bit on that?
There's GIS, and then there's some software that BGS has helped to develop called geovisionary, which takes terrain data. It's a bit like Google Earth, really, in that it takes terrain data, and then you can drape over that all sorts of other data as well. And in effect, you can do a sort of virtual field reconnaissance. But the key difference, obviously, between geovisionary and Google Earth is you can go underground as well.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. And partnerships are important, you think, in some software?
Yeah, I mean, we partnered with a commercial company on to do that. But 3D visualization is an area where we've done a lot of work over the last 10 or 15 years, and I think we're one of the pioneering geological surveys in the world in doing that type of work.
Yeah. And surrounding GIS, if we can talk about technology again, I mean, obviously GIS as a technology is evolving as well, and mining, as we alluded to earlier, is evolving as an industry. So what do you think are some of the key peripheral technology advancements going on in GIS?
I think, again, it's not my topic area, but I think in terms of exploration, I think the way GIS is moving is away from, well, it will continue doing this, but it'll move from just layering one set of data on top of another and looking at and sort of manually, if you like, the operator looking at patterns, to methodologies like prospectivity analysis, where you actually get the computer to do this looking for patterns and looking for trends within the data, so looking for lineaments and looking for areas that are more prospective than others. And there's some quite clever packages around now which do that. And if that's an area, I think, where there is still a lot to do, and there's still potential, particularly for exploration companies, to take those technologies up. I understand that one of the problems with there are a couple of problems with take up of that. One is it's quite technical stuff, some of it. And I think the other is a kind of mistrust of the technology and the fact that it's a bit black box. You feed a lot of spatial data in at one end, and you get a derived map out at the other end, and you're not quite sure how you got from one to the other. So there's a way to go on these things, I think.
Yeah, obviously a lot of GIS is prolific in the industry. A lot of people have actually invested in GIS, obviously. So it's less about building the case for GIS. But do you think that mining companies and exploration companies may have currently underutilized its true value?
I think from what I understand in exploration, that there are definite possibilities to do more with GIS than are being done at the moment.
Yeah. And do you think that, as you said, that's just because it's conceptual, or do you think it's a training issue going on in companies?
I think there's a whole bunch of issues, that to do with costs and to do with training and expertise and developing packages which are suitable for particular types of minerals and things like that. So there's a whole range of issues. I think things are moving. My understanding is things are moving quite quickly, but I think, if there was a gap, that's the gap. I think, that there's more to do. There's a lot of exploration activity going on in the world. There's a lot of potential there for using GIS to help that.
Yeah, absolutely. It was because a lot of companies are maybe using it just as a simple mapping tool, but it can be used well, as you alluded to earlier, with proper predictive.
I mean, the real power in GIS is the analysis that you can do.
Yeah.
So it's doing that analysis to help to identify targets.
So your colleague Julian is actually speaking at our upcoming GIS for mining event, and one of the things that he's talking about there is about how to increase team working and increase efficiency in actual field operations. So do you have any thoughts specifically on how that can be done?
Again, it's not my area, but
Okay.
my understanding is, particularly working with something like Geovisionary, where you're looking at an area of ground within a 3D environment. So you're sitting in a room or standing in a room with a 3D system operating, and you can stand there with colleagues and discuss, is this target orientated in this direction or that direction? Is this particular suite of rocks orientated in this direction or that? What's the copper content here? And also you can change. You can model that. You can move things around to enable you to stand with colleagues and visualize things rather than perhaps being out in the field on your own. You can do this in discussion.
Yeah. 4D, is that?
Well, 4D's coming. Looking at time as well. So, 4D models are being used in things like the groundwater industry now, the oil industry. I'm sure they'll come in mining as well.
Yeah. Is it because obviously GIS is used in many different industry sectors? Is 4D one of the key things that can be transplanted from other industries over to mining, or is there any other? Yeah,
I mean, it's again thinking it's maybe an application in search of an idea in search of an application. So.
That's right. Yeah.
but certainly, if you look in at the way things have gone in hydrocarbons, there's a lot of 4D, 4D seismic imaging and stuff like that going on.